It's finally summer, and that means days at the beach and barbecues and all types of outdoor sports under the sun. But beware, the resulting tan could be deadly. Newsmax Deputy Health Editor Nick Tate's joining us once again. Hey Nick, would it be fair to say that there's a skin cancer epidemic in the U.S. today?
Well, that's right, Lynn. Skin cancer has reached epidemic proportions in the U.S. Let me throw a couple numbers at you. Nearly 3.5 million Americans are treated for skin cancer every year, which makes it the most common form of cancer in the U.S. More than 70,000 of those cases are melanoma, the deadly, life-threatening form of cancer, and we're seeing more today than we ever have before. In fact, 5 times as many people are diagnosed today with skin cancer as in the 1970s. Now, why? What's behind the rise? Well, we really can point the finger at the growth and the popularity of indoor tanning salons. A lot of people think that if you get a tan on a tanning bed, it's safer than the midday sun. But in fact, tanning beds produce nearly 15 times as much UV radiation, which is linked to skin cancer, as the sun. The other reason is we've become a much more mobile society. It's so much easier today than ever before to just get on a plane and take a cheap flight to a sunny destination or take an economy-priced cruise. So more Americans are in the sun more often, even in winter months, than ever before. A generation ago, we'd stay home. We'd be indoors in the winter. But now we can go to the islands, we can go to the Caribbean, and we're exposing ourselves to more sun, more UV radiation, and of course putting ourselves at greater risk for skin cancer.
So is there any such thing as a so-called safe tan?
Well, unfortunately, there really is no such thing as a safe tan. And in fact, a suntan is really a sign of DNA damage to the skin. Skin cells, when they're exposed to UV light, produce more pigment. So that's what you're seeing with a suntan. It's skin damage, it's DNA damage. And you know, sunburn and skin cancer are not the only problems with UV radiation. UV light can damage your eyes, it can cause cataracts, it can cause vision loss, age spots, wrinkling, and it can change the texture of your skin. So it's not just skin cancer we need to worry about. I think the big problem is that we still see a tan as a sign of beauty, particularly in this country, when in fact what we really need to be considering it as is a precancerous condition.
All right, thanks, Nick. To tell us more about how to avoid skin cancer is board-certified dermatologist Kenneth Beer. He's on the faculty of the University of Miami and has been published in over 50 medical journals. Dr. Beer, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
So before we talk about skincare, I understand that you're featured in New Beauty magazine.
I am. New Beauty magazine, just for this month in July, had a feature where they allowed me to make over a 36-year-old woman using injections of different products, and they allowed me to do her nose, her chin, her cheeks, and show from the beginning to the end, and it'll be out in this month's publication.
Well, congratulations. We certainly look forward to reading about that. Now, we know that staying in the sun for too long is not good for us. Can you take us through what actually causes the skin cancer and why it's not good for us?
Sure. On a microscopic level, what happens is the cells become disorganized, and when they become disorganized, some grow faster than others. And the cancer is really the growth of skin cells without any boundaries or any checks and balances. The sun is thought to induce damage to the DNA that Nick was referring to, and after that damage is too much, the cells just start to grow without any control. And then you get these little skin cancers, and we see them primarily in areas that have a lot of accumulated sun damage.
Now, not everyone who has a tan or who has been in the sun their whole life gets skin cancer. So why is it that some people are more prone to it and others can be outside tan their whole lives and never run the risk?
It's a great question. There's a lot of information written by an anthropologist named Nina Jablonski, who wrote a whole book about pigment, and I highly recommend it. But some people are more adapted to environments where they're sun exposed and their rates of skin cancer is really, really low. Other people whose ancestors came from Scotland, Ireland, Germany, Norway, really don't have enough pigment to defend themselves. And some of that has to do with needs for vitamin D and tolerances, but it's basically the genetics of your skin and pigment.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned the vitamin D, because I've always heard that being outside and getting fresh air and sunshine would be good for us. So is it like everything else that we've talked about today? It's good in moderation, but not excess?
That's exactly right. Moderation is the key. So get moderate sun exposure when you're 21 and older. Try and be really careful when you're 21 and younger. But it's unrealistic to tell people to live in a hut and never go outside. We all are outside. We all have lives. So use sun protection, and moderation is really the key. Try and avoid sunburns. Try and avoid instances where you'll get very high sun exposures, like Nick was saying, going on a cruise in the middle of the winter, and your skin just doesn't have the defenses to help itself.
So what if we actually have already done the damage? Is there anything on the horizon that might be able to reverse either skin cancer itself or some of the damage to the epidermis that's occurred?
Well, there are things available now. We use antioxidants like vitamin C and compounds like retinol and tretinoin, also known as retin A. And if you look at the biopsies of skin treated with them, you'll see an incredible improvement. So we think that we're helping the organization, decreasing skin cancer. We also use lasers and light sources and different types of medication, so we can really get rid of 5 or 10 years of sun damage pretty easily at this point. And I think in the future we'll be even better at it.
Well, you have to admit, people always look better when they have a tan. So is there a way that we can get that glow, that healthy look, without being out in the sun nonstop? Do you recommend either the spray tans or the lotions that they now sell like over the counter?
I think that either of those solutions is better than going outside and getting, really dark. So spray tans, as long as you don't breathe them and they're done correctly, are fine. I think that the topical tans are really pretty good. I've seen some really nice ones, so I don't have a problem with either of those.
Okay, well, this coming from a man who lives in the Sunshine State. We certainly appreciate all of the advice that you gave us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We look forward to having you again here on Meet the Doctors.